The night it all began, the moon hung above the forest like a watchful, eye-cold silver, and unblinking. Its light spilled over the clearing, catching the edges of the ancient stones that circled the heart of our territory. I should have felt proud standing there, shoulder to shoulder with my pack. I should have felt safe. But my chest ached with a heaviness I could not name, and somewhere deep inside me, my wolf stirred uneasily. My name is Celine. And until that night, I believed in destiny. I believed that when the moon goddess chose your mate, your heart would know peace, your soul would find home. For years, I carried that belief like a torch in the darkness, trusting it to lead me to my place in this world. That torch flickered out the moment my alpha turned his eyes away from me. I had been raised within the pack's traditions. Trained to serve, to guide, to be more than just a Mai Tai was born to be Luna. The elders whispered it whenever I walked past, their voices carrying the weight of prophecy. The alpha and Celine, two halves of a whole. I had clung to those words, letting them soothe every doubt, every insecurity. But fate is not kind. Fate is a storm. That evening, we gathered beneath the full moon to celebrate the bond of leadership. My Alpha Dorian stood tall at the center of the clearing, stark hair catching the light, his voice carrying power that made even the trees seem to lean closer. I had loved him since childhood, though he had always been distant, his smiles reserved, his heart guarded. Still, I believed. Still, I waited when the moment came for the goddess's blessing. I felt the pull of the bond sharp, electric, undeniable. My wolf surged forward, recognizing him, reaching for him. Relief poured through me like rain after drought. Finally, I thought. Finally, the waiting was over. But then his eyes met mine, and in them I saw no warmth, only steel. I reject this bond, Dorian said, his voice ringing across the stones. Celine is not my Luna. The world tilted. Gasps erupted around me, but they were muffled, distant. My wolf whimpered, the sound echoing in my chest until I could barely breathe. I searched his face, desperate for an explanation. But he looked past me as though I were nothing more than a shadow. He chose another. A woman with perfect poise, flawless grace, and a family name heavy with influence. She stepped forward, her hand sliding easily into his. Her smile sharp as a blade. The pack cheered, though their eyes darted toward me, pitying, curious, some even triumphant. I stood frozen, my heart bleeding in silence. That was the night I'd adored at least. The version of me who believed destiny was unshakable. Yet as I stumbled away from the stones, the forest closing in around me, something inside refused to break completely. The bond burned, yes, but beneath the pain another fire flickered, small, defiant. Alive. The forest was thick with shadows, the air heavy with the scent of pine and earth. Every step I took seemed to echo too loudly, and I realized I was no longer alone. From somewhere behind the trees came the faintest sound, low, steady breathing, not belonging to any wolf I knew. I froze. My wolf bristled, ears pricked. "Danger," she whispered. The shadows shifted. A pair of eyes gleamed in the darkness, samber, luminous, too bright to be human. My pulse stuttered. "Who's there?" My voice cracked, but I forced strength into it. A figure emerged from between the trees, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with a predator's grace. His presence filled the air like a storm cloud, heavy, electric. I had never seen him before, and yet something inside me stirred, recognizing him in a way I could not understand. "You're stronger than they think," said, his voice low, rough like gravel, yet strangely steadying. I stumbled back. "What do you mean? Who are you?" He didn't answer, only held my gaze as if searching for something hidden within me. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, he melted back into the trees, swallowed by shadow. I stood there trembling, the echo of his words burning in my mind. Stronger than they think. The night air pressed against me, sharp with cold. My alpha had rejected me, my future had shattered. And now a stranger with eyes like fire had spoken as if he knew my soul. I didn't know whether to fear him or to follow. The forest felt different after that night. Every rustle of leaves, every shift of shadows seemed to carry his presence. I told myself I imagined it that my wounded heart had conjured up the stranger with amber eyes. But my wolf knew better. She prowled restlessly inside me, ears alert, as though waiting for him to step out of the darkness again. I tried to bury the memory, to focus on survival. My rejection by Alpha Dorian had spread through the pack like wildfire. Everywhere I turned, whispers followed. Pity clung to me like smoke, while others looked at me with something colder relief, even satisfaction. To them, I had been a symbol of what could have been. Now I was just a reminder of what was lost. Yet beneath the humiliation, something fierce burned. His words haunted me. "You're stronger than they think." Why would a stranger care? Why would he risk approaching me at all? Rogues who entered Packland rarely left alive. And still, he had found me. He had seen me. I returned to the forest night after night, driven by something I couldn't explain. Sometimes the silence wrapped around me so tightly I questioned my own sanity. Other times, I swore I caught his scent on the windsmoke wild earth, and something ancient that made my wolf's fur bristle with recognition. It was on the third night that he finally appeared again. I had been sitting by the riverbank, the water reflecting the fractured moonlight, when I felt the air shift. My wolf rose inside me, heartbeat quickening. And then he was there, stepping out from behind the trees as if he had always belonged to the night. "You came back," I whispered, the words leaving me before I could stop them. His lips curved, though not into a smile, more like a shadow of one. "You called me here." "I did not." I straightened, though my body betrayed me with its trembling. "You did," he said calmly, his voice deep, unhurried. "Not with words, but with the ache in your soul. Wolves like us don't hide our pain. The forest listens. So do I." I wanted to argue, to deny this strange pull between us, but the truth lodged in my throat. Instead, I asked, "Who are you?" He stepped closer, and the moonlight revealed the harsh planes of his face. Strong jaw, dark hair, eyes that gleamed like burning embers. He looked nothing like the polished warriors of my pack. He looked wild, untamed, dangerous. "My name is Kale." The name itself felt heavy, as though it carried stories I wasn't ready to hear. My wolf perked at the sound, a low thrum of recognition echoing inside me. "You're a rogue," I said softly. He didn't flinch. "That's what your pack would call me." "Yes?" But I was not always without a home. Something in his tone made me pause. It wasn't self-pity, it was anger, grief buried beneath years of silence. I opened my mouth to press him further, but he tilted his head, studying me. "They don't deserve you," Kale said, his gaze sharp enough to cut through every wound I had been hiding. "You stood beneath the moon's blessing, and still your alpha cast you aside. That isn't strength, it's cowardice." His words struck like lightning. I should have defended Dorian, my alpha, the leader I had been raised to serve. But I couldn't. The bond between us still burned, yes, but it felt poisoned, now twisted by betrayal. "Why do you care?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. For the first time, Kale looked away, as if the truth itself was too dangerous to share. "Because I know what it feels like to be broken by those who should have protected you." Silence stretched between us, filled only by the rush of the river. My heart pounded, my wolf restless. I didn't trust him, not fully. Yet every instinct told me he wasn't here to harm me. Before I could speak again, a howl ripped through the forest. Not a warning howl, but a hunting cry. My blood ran cold. Dorian's patrol, Kale's eyes darkened, his posture shifting instantly into that of a predator ready to fight. "They're looking for me." Panic gripped me. If the patrol found us together, they would tear him apart, and they wouldn't hesitate to punish me for speaking to a rogue. "You have to leave," I hissed, urgency tightening my throat. But Kale shook his head, stepping closer until the heat of his presence washed over me. "No, if they find you, they'll blame you for this. I won't let them." "Why?" I demanded, my voice breaking under the weight of fear and confusion. "Why risk your life for me?" His answer came low, steady, unshakable. "Because whether you know it or not, Celine, Your fate is tied to mine." The howls drew closer, echoing through the trees, snapping branches under heavy paws. My wolf surged forward, caught between terror and something dangerously close to hope. And in that moment, standing between my pack's wrath and a stranger with eyes like fire, I realized my world was no longer mine to control. The storm was coming in. I was standing at its heart. The howls tore through the forest like knives. My breath caught and my wolf pressed against me, urging me to run. But Kale stood rooted in place, his jaw clenched, every muscle coiled like a bowstring. "They're closing in," I whispered, panic rising in my chest. His gaze flicked to mine, burning with something fierce. "Then you have to choose, do you run back to them, or do you trust me?" The question froze me. My pack was my home, my blood. Yet Dorian had cast me aside, stripped me of dignity, and now hunted Kale like prey. I felt torn in two, as though the bond with my alpha pulled one way while something older, Welder tugged me toward this rogue who refused to let me fall. Branches snapped in the distance. I had no time to think. "This way," I hissed, grabbing his arm before my own fear could stop me. We ran, the forest blurred around us, shadows twisting with every step. Kale moved with uncanny grace, silent and swift, guiding me away from the patrol's path. My lungs burned, but I dared not slow. Only when the howls grew faint did we collapse against the roots of an ancient oak. Hidden beneath its gnarled branches, Kale's chest heaved, his amber eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Even exhausted, his presence filled the air with unshakable strength. "You shouldn't have done that," Kay muttered, voice low but edged with something like concern. "If they find out you helped me, I know." I cut in, sharper than I intended. My hands trembled as I pressed them to the earth, steadying myself. "But I couldn't let them tear you apart. Not when you—" I stopped, my throat tight. His gaze softened, though his voice remained steady. "Not when I— what?" "Not when you're the only one who's told me I'm worth something," I admitted, the words breaking free before I could bury them. Silence stretched, heavy with everything unsaid. Then Kale leaned closer, his voice rough but steady. "Celine, you have no idea how much more you are than what they've told you. And your alpha," his tone darkened, "your alpha is not what he seems." So chill swept over me. "What do you mean?" Kale hesitated, as though weighing how much truth I could bear. Finally he said, "Dorian made a pact years ago. With blood, not honor. He's not leading your pack, he's binding it. I know because I saw it." My heart stuttered. That's impossible. The alpha would never, but the memory of his rejection struck me again. The coldness in his eyes, the calculated way he cast me aside. Could Kale be right? "You're lying," I whispered. But the denial lacked conviction. "I have no reason to lie to you," Kale said quietly. "But he has every reason to keep you blind." I wanted to believe him, and yet he was a rogue, an outcast. My loyalty screamed at me to reject his words. Still, a seed of doubt had been planted, and it rooted deeper with every breath. Before I could speak, a snapping twig made us both freeze. Kale shifted instantly, crouching low, his wolf just beneath the surface. From the trees to figures emerged patrol guards. Their scent hit me before their voices did. Pack warriors armed and searching Celine. One called, his tone sharp with suspicion. "We caught your scent. What are you doing out here?" My pulse thundered. If they saw Kale, it was over. I couldn't sleep. I stammered, forcing my body to still. "I came to walk near the river." The guards exchanged a look. One stepped closer, sniffing the air, his eyes narrowing. Too close. He would smell Kale in a heartbeat. Kale's hand brushed mine, a silent warning. His eyes met mine with a question I didn't want to face. "Will you betray me or will you protect me?" The warrior sniffed again, his expression hardening. "You're not alone. Who's out here with you?" Time slowed. My wolf snarled within me, caught between terror and a new, fierce protectiveness I didn't understand. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. "No one. I lied. You're imagining things." The guard frowned, unconvinced. He moved past me, scanning the shadows. Kale's breath was quiet, steady, but I could feel the tension in his body. The readiness to fight if it came to it. Go back, the other warrior ordered me. The Alpha doesn't want you wandering at night. It isn't safe. I bit down on the sharp laugh that threatened to escape. Not safe for whom? I nodded instead, forcing obedience into my tone. Of course. When the guards finally disappeared into the darkness, I let out a trembling breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Kale rose from the shadows, his face unreadable. You lied for me. I don't know why I did, I admitted, my voice shaking. But if what you say about Dorian is true, then maybe I don't know my pack as well as I thought. Kale stepped closer, his gaze burning. The truth will destroy you, Celine, but it will also set you free. Before I could respond, another howl ripped through the night louder, nearer, filled with fury. It wasn't just a patrol this time. It was Dorian, and he was hunting. The howl split the night in two. Deeper than thunder, sharper than steel, it was the Alpha's voice, and it carried fury. My heart slammed against my ribs as the sound reverberated through the trees. Dorian, I whispered, my throat tight. Kale's eyes narrowed, his jaw taut. He's coming for you. No, I said quickly, shaking my head. He's coming for you. Kale didn't argue. He didn't need to. The truth hung between us, heavy and undeniable. My wolf pressed forward inside me, restless, pacing. Torn, Dorian's call was a command, a demand for loyalty and obedience. Every wolf in the pack felt it in their bones. To ignore it was to rebel. Yet standing here beside Kale, I felt another pull, fierce, relentless. Deeper than blood, Celine, Kale said, his voice low but urgent. If you go to him now, he'll use you. He'll twist you against yourself. That's what he does. But if you stay, his eyes caught mine, blazing with an intensity that rooted me to the earth. If you stay, you'll learn the truth. About him, about me, about us. I should have turned away. I should have obeyed my Alpha's call. But every part of me screamed that obedience would be the end of me. Before I could answer, the forest erupted. Wolves burst through the trees' dark shapes, eyes glowing, snarls splitting the silence. Dorian's patrol. But this time they weren't just searching. They were attacking run. Kale shoved me behind him as 3 wolves lunged from the shadows. He shifted mid-stride, his body rippling and breaking into the massive form of a wolf, unlike any I had ever seen. Larger than the pack warriors, his fur black as midnight, eyes blazing amber fire. I stumbled back, my breath caught in my chest. Rogues weren't supposed to be this powerful. No rogue ever carried such presence, such raw force. Kale met the first wolf head-on, his jaws snapping shut with bone-crushing strength. The second leaped for me, but my wolf surged forward, and I shifted instinctively, claws tearing into the earth. I met the attack with a snarl of my own, the battle pulling something wild from deep inside me. For the first time in my life, I didn't fight for my Alpha, I fought for myself. The clash was brutal, claws and teeth flashing in the moonlight. Kale moved with terrifying precision, every strike a calculated promise. Within moments, 2 of the patrol wolves lay whimpering on the ground, defeated but alive. The third backed away, fear tainting his scent. Before vanishing into the trees, panting, I shifted back, my body trembling from the rush of power. Kale's massive wolf form loomed beside me, blood staining his dark fur. Slowly he shifted too, returning to the man who had haunted my nights. His chest heaved, his eyes locked on mine. And for a moment the world narrowed to just the 2 of us, the bond between us pulsing like a second heartbeat. "What are you?" I breathed, unable to stop myself. His expression hardened, though his eyes betrayed something raw. Not what they told you rogues are. He hesitated, then added, "I was once an Alpha, Celine, before Dorian destroyed everything I had." The ground seemed to tilt beneath me. An Alpha. "Yes," he said, voice low, steady. "My pack is gone because of him. and yours is shackled by his lies. You think he'd cast you aside because you were unworthy? No, he rejected you because he feared you'd see what he truly is. The revelation tore through me like lightning. My chest tightened, my wolf howling in confusion and rage. Could it be true? Was everything I had believed built on lies? Before I could respond, another howl cut through the night closer, now heavier with dominance. Dorian himself, Cale, stepped closer, his hand brushing mine, grounding me in the storm. His voice was rough, almost desperate. Celine, you have to decide. If you go to him, you'll never be free. If you stay with me, everything changes. The bond between us flared then, stronger than any pull I had ever felt toward Dorian. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, soul deep and unshakable. My wolf pressed against his, howling in unison, as if she had finally found what she'd been searching for all along. I gasped, clutching my chest. The bond. Cale's eyes burned into mine. Yes, you feel it too. You were never meant to be his. You were meant to be mine. The words crashed into me, shattering everything I thought I knew. My alpha, my mate, my destiny, all of it lies. And yet this truth felt undeniable. The air thickened, the ground trembling under approaching paws. Dorian was nearly here. Cale squeezed my hand, his grip firm, unyielding. Choose, Celine. Choose now. And as the shadows broke, revealing the alpha himself striding into the clearing, fury blazing in his eyes, I realized there was no going back. The night bled into chaos. The moon hung swollen and pale, spilling silver light over the forest clearing where fate had dragged me. Every howl, every rustle of leaves felt sharpened, like the world itself was holding its breath. My heart pounded so violently I thought it might burst from my chest. I wasn't just running anymore, was running toward the truth, toward a battle I could no longer avoid. Behind me, shadows closed in. Elias's men as pack were hunting, their snarls cutting through the air. And ahead of me, Cale waited. My mate, my enemy, my impossible salvation. When I reached the clearing, Cale was already there, standing tall in the moonlight. His dark hair caught silver strands of light, his eyes glowing like embers. The sheer force of him made my knees weaken. But when I saw the raw anguish carved into his face, I knew he had been waiting for me. For this moment, you shouldn't have come, he said, voice rough, breaking under the weight of something heavier than fear. I swallowed hard. You knew I would. I couldn't hide anymore. Not from you. Not from them. Not from myself. His jaw tightened. Elias will kill you if he finds you here. He'll kill us both. The name of my mate, the alpha who had rejected me and broken me, cut like glass against my ribs. But Cale's words were more than warning, they were prophecy. The forest trembled with the weight of approaching footsteps. Time was running out. I stepped closer until the scent of pine and smoke around Cale was all I could breathe. Then tell me the truth before he comes. Tell me why you've haunted me since that night. Why I feel this bond I can't deny. Cale flinched, pain flashing across his face. His hands clenched at his sides as though holding back a storm. Because it was never meant to be Elias. It was me. I was your fated mate all along. The world tilted. The earth beneath me seemed to vanish. My breath caught in my throat. No, that can't. It can, Cale said, voice fierce now, almost desperate. When Elias rejected you, he knew. He knew the bond wasn't his. He knew it was mine. But claiming you would have meant defying the council, defying bloodlines, defying fate as he wanted it written. So he lied. He kept you under his rule, broken and silenced, because he feared losing power. You were never his, Leora. You were always mine. The clearing spun with fire and shadow, my heart unraveling thread by thread. 1,000 moments clicked into place the way Elisa's touch had always felt hollow. The way Cale's presence set my soul ablaze. The way the bond had pulled me to him against all reason. I wanted to collapse under the weight of it. Instead, I whispered, Why didn't you tell me? Kale's eyes burned, and his voice cracked. Because loving you meant betraying him. And betraying him meant war. But war is coming anyway. As if summoned by his words, Elias emerged from the trees, his pack fanning out behind him. His eyes glowed with fury, his voice laced with venom. Mine. The single word was a growl, a claim, a threat. No. Kale snarled, stepping in front of me, his body a shield of iron and fire. She was never yours. The ground shook as wolves shifted around us, their growls rumbling through the night. Elias's power pressed down like a storm. But Kale's defiance burned hotter, brighter, a beacon that lit something inside me, I thought. Elias had destroyed forever hope. The bond snapped fully open between Kale and me then, flooding me with a surge of warmth, terror, and belonging so fierce it brought tears to my eyes. I felt his heart beating inside my chest, his strength threading through my veins. Elias's face twisted with rage. You think you can defy me, brother? Kale bared his teeth. I'm not defying you. I'm saving her. Then the clearing erupted into violence. Wolves lunged, claws and teeth flashing, shadows colliding in a storm of snarls and silver light. Kale shoved me back, taking the brunt of the first attack. The sound of bone against bone, the crack of claws, meeting flesh, echoed through the forest. My screams tangled with the howls of battle. Through it all, Kale fought like fire itself, relentless, untamed, unyielding. But Elias was the alpha, larger, stronger, drunk on rage. He struck Kale down once, twice, each blow tearing at my soul as though it landed on me. I couldn't stand by. I couldn't lose him. Something inside me broke wide open. Power surged in my blood, ancient and raw. A roar ripped from my throat, not human, not wolf, but something in between. The pack froze, their eyes snapping toward me. Elias staggered back, shock flickering across his face. Impossible. But Kale smiled through blood and pain, his eyes never leaving mine. The Luna rises. The forest blazed with light, with destiny, with the truth that could no longer be silenced. And in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The light didn't come from the moon. It came from me. The power surged through my veins like wildfire. A force I hadn't known I carried, but that had waited, patient, until this moment. My cry shook the clearing, and the wolves around us stilled, their eyes widening with something beyond fear recognition. I was there, Luna. The revelation struck me as hard as it did them. Yet it felt right, as if the earth itself had been waiting for me to rise. My body trembled, but my heart was steady. For the first time, I wasn't broken. Elias's face twisted in disbelief, his fury clawing at the edges of the night. No, he snarled. You were nothing without me. A rejected shell. You think you can rule them? I stepped forward, my voice carrying on the still air, stronger than I had ever heard it. I was nothing because you made me believe it. But the bond never lied. It was Kale. It was always Kale. His roar tore through the clearing, and he lunged at me. But Kale was faster. Bloodied, bruised, but unbroken, he intercepted Elias with a force that rattled the ground. The two brothers clashed fangs, claws, and fury colliding in a storm of shadows and light. I could feel the bond pulling at me, urging me to fight beside Kale, to claim my place not as a victim, but as his equal. The pack watched, torn between fear and awe. Their world was shifting. The truth too powerful to be denied. At last, Elias faltered. His rage burned, but his strength cracked beneath Kale's relentless will and my rising power. Kale drove him to the earth, his hand at his throat, but he didn't finish him. His eyes wild, golden, lifted to mine. This choice is yours, he rasped. You decide how this ends. My breath hitched. The weight of it pressed down on me, years of pain, betrayal, fear. Elias had broken me, but he had also forged the fire in me. And now I had to decide. Vengeance or mercy? I stepped forward, the clearing hushed. Elias's eyes burned into me, still full of hatred, but shadowed by something else. Maybe fear. You took everything from me, I said, voice steady though my heart quaked. You made me believe I was weak. But you can't take this. You can't take who I am. His lips curled, ready to spit venom. But I raised my hand and the glow around me brightened. A command not of anger but of power. Leave. You are no alpha of mine. Not anymore. The bond between us falls, forced, fragile, snapped like brittle glass. Elias recoiled, his howl echoing through the trees, a sound of loss and fury. Then, beaten and stripped of his claim, he staggered into the forest, his pack partying to let him pass. Some lowered their heads to me as he disappeared. Their submission silent but undeniable. When the night stilled again, I fell to my knees, shaking. Cale was there in an instant, gathering me into his arms. His warmth, his heartbeat, steadied me more than the power burning in my veins. You chose mercy, he whispered. I chose freedom, I answered, for a long moment. We stayed like that, two broken souls pieced back together by fate and fire. Around us, the pack shifted back to human form, their faces etched with awe. They had seen the truth. And the truth was undeniable. I wasn't the rejected Luna anymore. I was the risen one. The days that followed were not simple. A pack torn between brothers does not heal overnight. Some still doubted, some still whispered Elise's name. But many turned their loyalty toward me and Cale, not out of fear but respect. Cale never left my side. His strength was fierce, but his gentleness was what anchored me. At night, when silence fell and the forest slept, he would hold my hand and remind me that fate had not broken us, it had merely delayed us. And slowly, the broken pieces of my heart began to fit again. I walk often to the clearing now when the moon is high and the air is still. The place where everything changed. The place where I stopped running from my truth. I think of Elias sometimes not with hatred, but with a distant sorrow. He taught me what cruelty looks like, but also what strength it takes to rise against it. Without his betrayal, I might never have discovered the fire within me, but it is Cale's face I carry with me into every dawn. His eyes, fierce and tender, are the promise I thought I had lost forever. Our bond is no longer a secret or a burden. It is our truth, our destiny. And as I stand beneath the silver light of the moon, the pack howling in unison around us, finally understand, I was never the broken Luna. I was the Luna who rose, the Luna who claimed her place, the Luna who chose love. And this is only the beginning.